Welcome to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy such as the deferred sales trust is an amazing way for you to exit highly appreciated cryptocurrency, stocks, real estate, any asset of any kind, multi-million-dollar exit, so you can create and preserve more wealth, defer that capital gains tax, eliminate the estate tax, and so you can unlock wealth for whatever freedom means to you. And so the goal here is to bring on some of the best real estate, financial, wealth, and sometimes cryptocurrency digital market experts in the world to share their insights, their deal stories, and their inspiration. So together we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. I'm excited about our next guest. He's out of the great state of Illinois. He founded Liquid Point in 1999, and the company sold to the Bank of New York back in the 2007, and is currently the number 3 highest overall execution volumes behind Citadel Securities and something I cannot pronounce. He is a world-renowned professional trader and market wizard, and has been powering professionals for the last 30 years. And he also, Matrix Executions, founded by 2018, also is number 5 in the overall execution volume, and so much more. And today we are talking with founder of Liquid Mercury. Please welcome to the show, Tony Saliba. Tony, how are we doing?
Great, Brett. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. And for our listeners getting to know for the first time, would you give us a little bit more about your story and your current focus?
Sure. Well, as you said, expertise mostly is in options. Started on the floor of the CBOE back in the 70s, got into technology in the early 80s, and built out a number of platforms for my own use throughout the 80s, and then went overseas and sold those products to European exchanges and banks that were getting into options. Liquid Point was my third company, and I built that up to actually bring electronic trading off the floors and onto the screens in the US. And Liquid Point is, as you said, currently the second most active agent of options transactions behind Citadel and Susquehanna. I left Liquid Point about almost 10 years ago to start Matrix. Matrix now competes with my prior company. And then last year, I handed off Matrix to my number 2, Jordan Naylor, to come over here and run Liquid Mercury, which I founded a few years ago, to take the same ideas that were working in options to the digital asset space, or cryptocurrencies, as you said.
Amazing. You can learn more about Tony Saliba. It's spelled Saliba by going to liquidmercury.com. That's liquidmercury.com. And today we're going to be talking about professional crypto trading. We're going to get an update on what's going on with cryptocurrency, an update on ways to make wealth and invest with Tony. But before we go there, Tony, I believe you've all been given certain gifts in this life, and these gifts have been given to us to be a blessing and help to others. So I'm curious, what would you feel Tony's number 1 or 2 strengths are and or gifts, and how does that help how you help and bless people today?
Well, I've been a mentor all along my way. As a floor trader, I started out, I was born on the wrong side of the tracks, if you will. And as soon as I kind of made it, I decided that I was going to back my clerks and give them the same shot that I had. Actually, a guy I caddied for gave me a shot to trade. He lent me $50 grand to try my skills at trading, and I happened to be good at it. I studied hard and at night doing my homework on theoretical values and such. And then I decided I was going to do the same for my clerks as it came along. In fact, necessity as the mother of invention has kind of been my watchword, Brett. I created a methodology to teach my clerks, and I would work with them personally. And at one point in the late 80s, I had as many as 27 different people that had come through my program as clerks or assistants on the floor of trading. And I was getting tired of doing all of this myself. I mean, I was in my 30s and had a lot of energy to do it, but I said, there's got to be a better way. And that's what led me into creating technology to help with that training, and also take my ideas and put them into software that could help people trading. So my mentorship, I would say, would be primary, and literally thousands of people over the last 30 years, 35 years, have over almost 10,000 people have come through those programs, and some of them, maybe hundreds of them, as employees. I guess that would be my main gift that I continue to impart. Also, just employing people, hundreds of families over the years in my serial entrepreneurship, to try to give these people equity in terms of actual physical shares, ownership, that kind of equity as you and I know it, so that as my companies grew and we liquidated, they would be part of that liquidation and take away some of the fruits of our labors.
Got it. Absolutely amazing. Love all of that. So let's take that in mind with giving back, mentoring, giving equity, employing people, and making a huge difference in people's lives with the topic at hand, which is professional crypto trading. So Tony, what is the number one secret to trading crypto professionally?
Well, I would say that all trading, the number one thing is discipline. With digital assets and cryptocurrencies, I think that is even more important, since there's a couple levels of difficulty in the beginning that you don't have when you're in traditional markets. In traditional markets, you have your brokerage, whether it be Schwab, Fidelity, or Interactive Brokers, or some agent that's going to kind of babysit you. With trading digital assets, you need to take care of your own wallet, if you will, and your own custody. Those things are changing, though, Brett, as more of traditional finance comes in to separate all the duties that we're used to from the traditional crypto natives. But discipline is key. And I would say that a lot of people, probably most of your audience, hasn't tried trading in digital assets, cryptocurrencies. I would say that watching the charts as you do in equities, and then also trying a little bit of a strategy. There's been some channel discussions in terms of pricing with the main coins like Bitcoin and Solana and Ethereum, where users can start to see the similarities of what they've traded in listed equities versus some of the digital currencies and tokens that trade.
Okay, excellent. So discipline is the key here, like any trading, and that makes perfect sense. And by the way, you can learn more about Tony by going to liquidmercury.com. All right, let's dive into the current market at hand right now, Tony. What are we seeing? I'm looking at Ethereum. It looks like it's above 2,000 today that we record. Talk to us about what your feel and your thoughts on the current cryptocurrency market right now.
So, for those who haven't been in the market, and this is going to be 14 years old here in about a month, but for the first 8 or 9 years, it really was a niche market, and a lot of people hadn't even heard about it. But for instance, using Bitcoin, and you mentioned Ethereum, Brett, these assets, these cryptocurrencies, have a broad backing. They're sort of the S&P 500 and Dow, if you will, as kind of bellwethers for the market in general. But there are literally thousands, tens of thousands of different altcoins that the various companies issue for different ideas and different usage. Before anybody tries anything, I think you need to do your homework, see what is behind those tokens. But today's market looks to be buoyed by a lot of good news that's been coming out over the last month or so. A year ago, Sam Bankman-Fried did a mea culpa that he basically had defrauded his investors and funneled a lot of money to politicos and news sources to cover that up, bought a lot of influence. and the market took this as a cryptocurrency ill, but really was just fraud. That case was adjudicated a couple weeks ago. A lot of that's behind us. Last week, we heard that the SEC had settled with Binance with a fine, but basically signal and all clear. And the rumors are that an ETF, or at least one of maybe multiple ETFs on the spot currencies, will be approved in the coming months by the SEC. All this to say that the two industries are merging. The crypto assets have special requirements that make them different than your standard listed assets, but the two will trade and create a lot of arbitrage opportunities and a lot of fluctuation and volatility, which is really good for traders. So I see a lot more stories about the thawing of the crypto winter, and our client base is now making decisions faster, less dragging of feet. So all the green shoots are there. It looks like the next 3 to 6 months should be pretty strong.
Very well said. And Tony, my wife and children, we've done some crypto mining. We've done some ETH rigs, right? And so, and then we've invested, for a few years, and the highs and the lows, nothing big, but more so as a way to get educated and start to practice what we're doing. But as a part of the world with cryptocurrency and investing as such, I think there's a really broad information out there, right?
Yes.
So what would you say is the best thing to focus on if you're a high net worth individual, you have real estate wealth, you have stock market wealth, you're looking at this maybe this next potential run here, right? Like what are your thoughts? And you have a high risk tolerance, and I want to maybe diversify. What would be some best practices here and how would your group help them to invest?
Well, okay, so there's a couple research sources that we use. One is Reflexivity, and they publish a newsletter and they have podcasts. And Anthony Pompliano and Will Clemente are two of the better researchers in the space. And you can just go to their website and check them out, and they cover a lot of the main altcoins, and they give you like up to the minute news and sort of cultural zeitgeist around the trading. And then there's another one called K33, which is more for institutions, and your more well-heeled investor listeners and viewers would get a lot out of that too. And they go deeper into some of these coins. So from a research and information standpoint, there's a lot that's published. Those are two main ones that we consume very regularly. Our company delivers the trading tools for the institutional customers. We're a B2B. And we have a token called the Merc that is kind of a indicator on the marketplace and how well infrastructure is doing. So it's very cheap. It's about less than a penny, but it's also used for our clients to get discounts on their invoices. So those two sources, Reflexivity and K33, is where I would go to do some mining of my own of information.
Excellent. Okay, great. And then what else? As far as if someone wants to maybe hire you or bring help them because they're not a professional and they want to hire a professional to help with the trading, how do you guys provide that service? What does that look like?
Well, if they go to our website, and we'll just answer all our questions. We're not going to consult them in terms of what to buy or sell, but we'll help them get started. One of us, myself included, answers all the questions. You just go to liquidmercury.com. Our website spells it out. It shows our tokenomics for the Merc, where it trades, but also if they have questions about crypto in general or options specifically, because we're a bunch of options traders that got into the space about 5 or 6 years ago. And we'll answer all their questions or give them resources where they can get those questions answered.
Got it. Okay, that's helpful. That's really helpful, Tony. Yeah, and again, that's liquidmercury.com, liquidmercury.com. Let's shift into tax a little bit, Tony. Part of our Our mission is to help people unlock capital and to be able to diversify wealth and to invest at optimal timing. But there's a big thing that holds them and away sometimes from selling is that capital gains tax, right? That fear of paying the tax, right? And they want to wait, but they wait too long, and then things shift. In fact, we were the first to do the first deferred sales trust exit of cryptocurrency. Two clients, one worked for Google, one worked for Ripple, and they both had Ethereum and Bitcoin. One mostly had Bitcoin. And it was the first one ever. We were able to sell and defer the tax. She bought it for $50,000, went to $50 million. But the biggest thing was she was able to get at $54,000 a coin. When Bitcoin hit that mark, she could exit $5 million. But she said, Brett, I never sold Bitcoin before. A, I believe in the long term of it. But B, I didn't have a great tax plan for this, right? And so we were the first to bring that to the table. So I'm curious, the ability to defer capital gains taxes on the sale of cryptocurrency, right? What would that mean for folks that are out there that maybe have multiple millions and they're looking to exit and they don't know how without deferring the tax?
Well, I'm not a tax expert, and my tax people point to mostly the ability to on certain coins get staking rewards, which are from what I understand, tax exempt, and be able to defer those gains through that. But I'm, as far as the tax laws go and timing of tax sales, Brett, I'm definitely not. I would not be qualified to give your users any tax advice.
Right. And I guess yeah, well, we do have a solution for that. That's what we do, right? CapitalGainsTaxSolutions.com. If you guys want to learn more about how to exit cryptocurrency, defer the capital gains taxes, and really build a plan for that, like you want to hire and work with those to help you with investing and different things and different research. We do the tax planning around that. But I guess the question is just a broad, just a broad sense, Tony. In a broad sense,
yes.
What does it mean to be able to sell high? I'll give you another example. So we sold the 5 million to the 50 million at 54,000 a coin, but I called her at 60,000 a coin and I said, hey, look, your 45 million has jumped, right? Again, now it's even higher. We could exit another 5 million. Like what about that? And then it went to 65,000 a coin, and then it went to 68. I think it topped out about 69, right? Before everything kind of went the other way. But the concept was this: sell high and buy low, right? We know when it's a good time to sell, typically for real estate, hopefully some stock market, but cryptocurrency in particular can have these really high highs and low lows pretty quickly. And in my mind, I'm going, look, we can sell and take off large amounts and put it into cash, all tax deferred, right? And then you can go back and buy the crypto all tax deferred when it makes sense, right? And so just that overall concept of sell high and buy low, while you don't have the tax consequence immediately, it's deferring that tax. Like, what will that mean for people? And maybe this is just very common. Maybe, and to us, we feel like it's not common. People haven't figured this out. We have, but Tony, tell me, what are people doing? What are you doing? Are you just paying the tax?
Well, so I'm more of a longer term holder, actually. So we roll into our own equity of our company. That's why we created our token, so that we could, on a long-term basis, build wealth there. Now, for liquidity, I guess when we do sell a little, we are paying the taxes, Brett. But I mean, your program has interested me so much that I got to get into that system to see where I can save next time there's a big run up, in the tokens.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. If people want to take action, you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. Strategy's been going for 30 years now, thousands of closes, billions and billions of assets, values used over the years, 24 no change IRS audits. Now, that's mostly for real estate and businesses, right? Now, crypto is still new for the exits, but we did that again before the last kind of let's say bear market for crypto. But if you want to learn more, you can go there. The second one, by the way, was a client who bought mostly Ethereum, and this is kind of funny, Tony. He bought it for about 100,000, and he was kind of doing it on the side. He knew about it because he worked for Ripple and he knew about XRP and different things like that. But he was mostly in Ethereum. And so he was doing the side, and all of a sudden he sat down with his wife after a couple of years of doing this. He's like, "Hey, I got some big news." She's like, "What?" Like she thought she was scared. He's like, "No, I've been investing in a crypto, and it went from 100,000 to 6 million." And she goes, "Well, sell it all." And he goes, "What do you mean sell it all?" "Well, let me explain to you what this thing is and why I believe in the long term of this." And back and forth. She's like, "But we can retire. Like I never have to work again. You never have to work again. You can live off the passive income. We can diversify the wealth." And it began this conversation of, okay, we will sell some, but let's compromise and let's figure out a tax plan first. And this became this journey while things were up for a while, for 6 to 12 months, but then it dropped, right? Drastically. It went from like 6 million evaluation to like $1 million. And now they're frustrated. She's frustrated. He's frustrated because they both agreed to sell, but they got to get the tax thing figured out. Sorry about that. And this thing is, it does this funny thing now because I'm on the new MacBook. Anyways, long story short, they didn't sell anything because of the taxes, but then it fast forward, it went to 13.5 million. And then they finally pulled the trigger with us. They deferred the tax, but even more than that, Tony, they were a lot in Celsius. They had a third of their capital in Celsius.
Oh.
And so this is the beauty. They were able to get most of it out before the crash and before the Celsius disaster. And so I talked to him. His name is Peter. And I said, "Peter, can I share your story?" He goes, "Absolutely." I go, "Had you not done the DST, how much of the 13 million would you have lost?" He goes, "Not only the drop in value, Brett, that would have tanked, but also we had a third of it in Celsius. We would have lost, maybe all of that, just about, right? Maybe pennies on the dollar." So talk about just the value of proper crypto trading, not just to sell high, buy low, and defer the tax.
Right.
Being able to just take some chips off the table and put it into T-bills, right? Or put it into real estate or hard assets, or diversify it across different coins, right? Just talk about the value of that, Tony.
Well, so I'm a firm believer that the governments are inflating and will continue to inflate, and thus, being in dollar-denominated assets are kind of risky in general. Your buying power, gets decreased. So, being in certain crypto assets, at least in the near term here, are a lot wiser. If they do rally and you do have a profit and you do need to take some of that profit off the table, moving them into like assets, would be advisable. Where our expertise comes in, I mean, we're all about the best execution with our algos, but we also do offer the ability to look at your stock portfolios and match with various tokens based on historical pricing to show where you have the least risky portfolio. Adding what small amount of crypto to an equity portfolio will dampen your exposure, reduce your exposure. So, once again, I'm going to defer to you as a cap gains tax guru for what the best movement is to optimize your tax payment. We're not about tax avoidance, but just the ability to optimize that. But we will help in maximizing the balance of the portfolio and make sure that your the diversification comes from a few investments in some of the cryptocurrencies.
Absolutely. I appreciate you sharing that and appreciate that encouragement. And yeah, people can take action. You can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to learn more about all of this. That being said, are you ready for the lightning round, Tony?
Sure. I hope so.
All right. Knowing what you know now, if you could go back to your 25-year-old self, what's the one golden nugget you'd tell yourself to make sure to do?
My 25-year-old self, I was just making my first million, and I would have stayed invested in the stock market rather than turning over so frequently.
Okay, great. What's the number one book you recommended or gifted the most in the past year?
Well, I've been talking a lot about an old book by Jesse Livermore, The Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. It's a thin book. It's a great little read for anybody in the trading space, which is something that I still will point out.
Excellent. Next question. What are you most curious about right now?
Well, I'm really most curious about how we are going to get to the truth in our media because there's so much divergence of actually telling the truth in stories and reporting and get back to true journalism. One of the reasons why I do podcasts is because independent journalists like yourself do get to the truth by one-on-one conversations with individuals, and it's kind of hard to avoid that. But the mass media, corporate media, I think needs to be shut down.
Yeah, they've failed us. They've definitely failed us, and there's no hiding from that. And yeah, let's see if there's hopefully some accountability and some change of leadership across the board there.
Right.
Next question, Tony. The number one way you're using ChatGPT to do anything in life right now?
Yes. Well, we have two main ways in terms of our business. One, some of our junior engineers use it to help do integrations with APIs much faster. And also our marketing department can deliver copy much quicker with just general ideas. And, it's basically a high-speed word processor and thesaurus wrapped into one. Personally, I use it for a lot of different things when I have a little thesis to create or have an idea, and it helps spark. So in high school, I was the editor of a high school newspaper. I went to school initially for journalism. So I read everything with a red pen in hand. I'm better at editing. So ChatGPT helps me get a lot of content, helps me formulate my ideas, and then I start to edit it.
Amazing. Next question, or second to last question. Number one leadership quote or theme that you strive to live by?
Only do that which only you can do. That was President Reagan's Treasury Secretary, George Shultz, who quoted that. And that makes so much sense, especially for entrepreneurs when we all wear multiple hats in the beginning, but as soon as you can, only do that which only you can do.
So powerful. That's got to be a mantra, right? Especially for entrepreneurs. I got to practice that, right? Hire the who, don't be the how, right? And only do that. And even more so that you were gifted and your purpose and that's serving and making a biggest impact on others. We call that the success or the fulfillment formula. When you're maximizing the potential of that gift, knowing what only that you can do or should be doing, and then as many people as you can impact and be a blessing to, like, boom, that opens up. And to me, it's the even bigger, higher purpose, right? We're called by God to do these things and be a blessing. When you combine all of that, man, does fulfillment and success explode. That being said, Tony, how do you best stay centered in your values and stay encouraged to charge forward for new heights?
Well, I'm blessed to be married to a great woman who has a lot of great insight and helps me stay centered. But I'm also surrounded by great people in my businesses, mostly handpicked by each other. So there is a lot of camaraderie. We watch each other's back. We are a family to a great degree. And we also try to, exhibit a do unto others approach to things so that we all can, help each other in our endeavors, both business-wise and in our just in our everyday lives.
Amazing. Tony, I want to thank you for being on the show. If people want to learn more about Tony, go to liquidmercury.com. It's liquidmercury.com. We so appreciate everyone out there. And if you have an exit plan coming up or want to build an exit plan with capital gains tax solutions on cryptocurrency or any other asset, go to capitalgainstaxsolution.com. We are way over time, so I appreciate everyone.